I never thought I'd end up living in my daughter's garage. But here I was, 71 years old, staring at a dented mini-fridge and a lawn chair I used as a nightstand. It smelled like mildew and motor oil. My room was a corner carved between dusty boxes, an old treadmill, and her husband's tool cabinet. No windows, no dignity, just 4 walls of silent shame. "You should be grateful," she said. "Most people your age end up in nursing homes." She smiled like she'd done me a favor, handing me a thin blanket while the central heating stayed inside the main house, where she lived, comfortably, with her husband and kids. I used to tuck her in every night. I used to work overtime so she could go to college, so she wouldn't have to struggle like I did. And now, the same little girl who once ran to me when she scraped her knee was keeping me out of her warm house because the kids need their space. It wasn't just the cold in that garage that stung. It was the silence, the distance, the feeling that somewhere along the line I'd stopped being her father and started being a burden. And that's when something in me started to change. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you're listening in the comments. It wasn't always like this. When my wife passed away 10 years ago, I poured everything I had into making sure our daughter, Lacey, didn't spiral. She was already in her mid-20s, but grief hits people differently. I sold our second car, dipped into my retirement savings, and helped her with a down payment on her first home. The same house she now claimed was hers. Truth is, it used to be mine. After her divorce, she came back with 2 kids and a defeated look in her eyes. I signed the deed over to her name back then because, honestly, I thought I was doing the right thing. I just wanted her and the boys to have a future. I thought I'd always be welcome in their lives. I never imagined I'd become an afterthought shoved out to the garage. When the kids were younger, they called me Pops and clung to my legs like I was their favorite superhero. I made them pancakes every Saturday and built a treehouse in the backyard. That treehouse still stands. I can see it from the crack in the garage window. The boys don't use it anymore. They barely say hello. Lacey started changing when she met Greg, her new husband, a finance guy, all suits and smirks. He called my workshop junkyard chic and laughed at my flannel shirts. He never said it outright, but he didn't want me around. I could feel it. She started using his words, phrases like boundaries and your independence, to justify pushing me out. I never asked for much. Just a little warmth, a seat at the table. But even that became too much for them. One night, I came into the house to use the bathroom. The one in the garage was out of order, and I didn't want to risk falling trying to walk down the street to the gas station again. Greg was sitting at the kitchen table, sipping whiskey like he owned the place. He looked at me and didn't even try to hide the annoyance. "You could at least knock before barging in," he said. "The kids don't need surprises like that." "I'm not a stranger, Greg. I helped pay for this place." He laughed. Loud, dry, disrespectful. "Well, you signed it over. That makes it hers. And she said you should stay in the garage. You agreed, remember?" I didn't reply. There was no point. Later that week, Lacey pulled me aside in the driveway, arms crossed, eyes tired. "Dad, you really need to stop coming inside unannounced. The boys are getting older. They need privacy." I looked at her, truly looked at her, and saw none of the girl I raised. Just someone tired of me. "You know," she added, "most men your age are in assisted living. You should be grateful we gave you the garage. Some people don't even have that." Grateful. That word hit harder than any slap. She said it with such casual cruelty, like she'd forgotten every scraped knee I patched. Every night I stayed awake with a feverish child. Every birthday present I couldn't afford, but bought anyway, like she was doing me a favor. I went back to the garage in silence. That night, I sat on the edge of the cot, staring at the cold concrete floor, and something inside me broke. Not in a dramatic, explosive way, but quietly, deeply. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I just sat there, breathing in the cold, until the air itself started to feel like truth. They didn't want me. Not really. And suddenly, I knew. I wasn't staying here much longer. The next morning, I made myself a cup of instant coffee and stepped outside just before sunrise. The dew was thick on the grass, and the air had that crisp stillness only found in moments before the world wakes up. For the first time in weeks, I allowed myself to just stand and feel. No one came looking for me. Not Lacey. Not the boys. Not even Greg, with another passive-aggressive comment. And that silence? It was louder than anything. I walked to the edge of the yard and stared at the house. My house. The one I bought, repaired, loved, and eventually handed over like a fool chasing approval. Then I turned my gaze toward the neighbor's yard. Mr. Halverson, a widower like me. We'd shared tools, barbecues, and a lot of quiet understanding over the years. He once told me, "Your family doesn't get to define your worth, especially if they've forgotten who you are." That line kept echoing in my head. I went back inside the garage and opened my old metal filing cabinet. The deed transfer, the paperwork, the backup keys, all still there, tucked neatly into an envelope I hadn't touched since the day I gave everything away. And then I remembered something. The house was in Lacey's name. Yes. But the land, the plot beneath it, that had been left out of the transfer by accident. My lawyer caught it back then, and I never got around to fixing it. Meaning legally, the structure might have been hers. But the foundation? Still mine. A quiet grin formed on my face for the first time in ages. They built their comfort on ground that didn't belong to them. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to fight. But I was going to act. That week, I called Mr. Halverson and asked if he'd be willing to help me move a few things into storage. I didn't tell him much, just that I was making space. He didn't ask questions, just nodded like he already knew. Then I called my lawyer. We drafted a legal agreement to transfer the land rights, the foundation of the house, to Mr. Halverson for the cost of $1. It was legal, clean, and most importantly, irreversible. 3 days later, I handed Lacey an envelope over breakfast. She looked at it like it was junk mail. "What's this?" I smiled gently. "You'll want to open it." Greg snatched it first, ripped it open, and went pale. Lacey leaned over his shoulder. Her jaw dropped. "What the hell is this? You gave the land away? To him?" "I did," I said, calm as ever. "The house may be yours, but it sits on land that now belongs to someone else. And he's kindly asked me to stay with him, in the actual house. You'll need to speak with him if you want to keep living here." Greg was fuming. Lacey's face was frozen. I didn't gloat. I didn't yell. I just stood and placed my mug in the sink. As I left, I said one last thing. Respect isn't owed to me because I'm your father. It's earned, just like trust, just like peace. And you both lost that. That evening, I sat with Mr. Halverson on his porch, sipping real coffee, watching the sun go down over what used to be my home. Now just a hollow shell built on borrowed ground. Funny thing about foundations. They matter more than people think. And now so did I. If this story resonated with you, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your own experiences with family boundaries in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.